It's not a game, it's a rich thing.
Welcome back, boys and girls. It's not red, it's not a Ford, it's not a Fiesta, it's blue, it's a Vauxhall and it's a Nova. Don't worry, well I say don't worry, I would love to be telling you that I've just brought this as my new project car. Unfortunately, no I haven't brought this as my new project car. Little red Fiesta is still around the corner. We're never getting rid of the Fiesta, obviously, but it would have been nice to have said I've just brought this. I haven't. It's Wes's Nova. Story behind this is Wes got in touch a little while back, said, we've got a Nova in my garage, needs finishing off, a few bits here and there. Do you fancy having a truck? Do you fancy having a go at it for us? Me being me and being absolutely irresistible to old Novas, said yes. So, here we go. This is what I've been planning in the background for the past couple of months actually. We have got ourselves a Vauxhall Nova to work on for the next couple of months. I'll give you a walk around it. We're gonna, at some point I'm gonna wipe down the list over there and we'll write a new list, to-do list up there. And we'll go over, in this video basically, we'll go over the car, go over what it needs doing, and then sort of the next, I don't know, 4 or 5 instalments will be very similar I suppose to the Fiesta build when we were in the days of building that. Ticking things off the list and getting it on the road and hearing that start up for the first time. Quite excited about that. I mean, this is the business end, so we might as well start here, mightn't we? C20XE, no, sorry, C20 LET out of a Calibra on a F28 gearbox. All you Vauxhall nerds, you know, you'll know that is what used to be called a red top. I don't know if they still call them red tops or not anymore. Probably they still do. But that is a red top. It is a turbo. It has a Garrett down there. I don't know the turbo sizing on it, but looking at it, I would say it's probably a GT28, possibly a GT30. I don't know. I'll get in there and have a look. But it's a fully built engine, fully, you know, still pistons, rods built. It's got set cams in it. The works basically. The person that Wes brought this engine off of had it in their Nova. When they had it in their Nova, they had the same size turbo as on the Fiesta, which is a GT3582, and on that bigger turbo it made over 500 horsepower. Don't know the exact figure, but it made over 500 on the bigger turbo. So on this size turbo we should see very high 300s to maybe 450, somewhere there or thereabouts I should think, which would, in little blue Nova as I'm going to start calling it over here, is quite a lot of power in it really. Decent gearboxes, the F28s, they seem to be fairly strong. It's not like the IB5s and bits and pieces that blow up on the Fords. Quite a nice breather setup. I don't know if it's a Bailey tank or not, but nice little breather setup there from the block. We've got a Side-Tech fuel regulator at the back there. Battery is still in the bay. Really nice design on these Vauxhalls, really nice design. The battery tucks in there, I always like that. We've got header tank over here, tile wastegate, don't know if it's a genuine one or not, but a tile wastegate on there, and a downpipe, and that is as far as the exhaust goes. It's just a 3-inch downpipe and it kind of stops about there. So that'll be one thing on our list. That'll be one thing on our list, doing a full exhaust for it. Actually think we're probably going to go with a side exit similar to what's on Little Red, but we'll get around to that in a video. Lots of nice little carbon bits and little dress up bits in here as well, which are nice. Love the colour, by the way. Do mention the colour. Colour is very nice. It's actually not quite as deep blue as the camera makes out. It's more of like a turquoisey aquamarine colour, but on the camera it does look very, very blue. Probably just the lighting in here. We'll roll it out in the daylight When there is some daylight. It's dark outside at the moment. When there is some daylight, we'll roll it out and I'll show you that. But so yeah, C20XE, so C20 let. I'll get used to saying that. C20 let, F28 box, probably a 28/30 GT30 turbo, tyre wastegate, 3-inch downpipe, nice big intercooler on the front. Don't know what the core is rated for on that, but it's fairly big. That's my hand. It's quite a big intercooler, quite chunky, so it should deal with all of the boost, I should think. Nice. I think this is a TX Autosport radiator, which actually is a very similar radiator to what I was planning on running in the Fiesta, but that's neither here nor there. We'll deal with that another day. So, but nice big radiator, single cooling fan on the front there. That might want to be changed for doubles, I don't know. A few little bits and pieces on the front end. Obviously, the bumper is in the car. That's not a problem. That needs to go on after we've done everything, but we've got some little bits and pieces to sort out on the front here. You can see the boost pipes are touching against the bodywork there. You can see, I mean, we've got these little bits of rubber on there, but under boost, that's eventually just going to rub its way through. So we'll need to deal with that. Same on this side. It's actually a little bit worse on this side, but same on that side. So we'll need to trim all that to make that fit properly and nicely. It's actually really not a bad route for intercooler piping. Sometimes intercooler piping can be massively long and tedious and whatever else, but actually it's fairly quite simple. It's literally out of the turbo, through, and then in. Really quite simple. We might have to modify the modify the hot side a little bit on the boost, because of just like there's nowhere for an air filter or anything in there, or even an air passage, to be honest. So we might have a look at modifying some of that, see if we can, I don't know if we can clock the turbo around or something. I don't know. We'll try and do something with that to make it look a little bit better, work a bit better maybe. But yeah, trim that up. We need to put a starter motor on it. It's already got a clutch and everything in it. Cable clutch in this, so there's no hydraulics to do. So it needs a starter motor to go on it. Needs the gear linkage to go on it. There's a whole little bits of odds and sods, like these bits of boost pipe need just pushed on, so they need jubilees and things put on them. We've got boost control solenoid stuff down there. I will move this boost control hose, this boost hose, reference hose, because that will melt, guaranteed. We need to do something about the breather that's here. That breather you can see is all twisted up and gnarly, but it's also basically touching that header. So we need to do something about that to get it tucked in a little bit nicer and neater. What else have we got up the front? I think that's pretty much it up the front. Like I say, it's 90% there, just needs things finishing off. We need to put the wiring loom in for the headlights and the indicators, etc. On the front, get the bumper back on, that kind of thing. But engine's in. We do need to sort out, we've got some missing wheel studs that need to go in. There's some washers missing off the CV joints that need to go in. Brakes and everything just need a once over, but I think they're pretty much there. These are very, very big, and we'll get it jacked up and get the wheels off. But these are very big, very, very chunky high spec brakes, as you can see. 4-pot calipers with a meaty disc. I mean, that disc is almost as big as the wheel on the Fiesta. Put it in perspective, but we'll get those off and have a look at them. Nice little carbon mirrors, nice little touch. Interior wise, fuel tank is back here. We have got a fuel cell in the back, foam filled fuel tank in the back. Needs a rollover valve on the top there. Need to sort out the sender in the tank to get that to work. There, so it's got a facet lift top, facet red top lift pump in the back here. Non-return valve, swirl pot all mounted up back here. Might reroute some of this stuff back here, to be honest, move it around a little bit to try and make it a bit neater. And then it pops through the floor down there, you can't really see. Then there's a high pressure fuel pump over here, and then there's a fuel filter under there, which we'll see when we get it jacked up. Gonna move all of that because the exhaust, when the exhaust comes through, the exhaust will end up very close to the fuel lines. So we're going to move the fuel lines because it's easier to move the fuel lines than it is to move the exhaust. I mean, we haven't made the exhaust yet, but you'll see when we get underneath the principle of it. So coming in here, nice little Motormet quick release steering wheel, get that out of the way. Fuel pump does work actually when you turn it on. It's got no fuel in it, so it's really noisy, but fuel pump's prime, which is always good. We've got a DTA Fast ProTech Series ECU. Never used one of those, so that would be an interesting journey. Astra GT Digidash, which some of you would have noticed in the used to have one of these in the Fiesta. The light is not working on this side. If you remember rightly, on the Fiesta I did an LED conversion on mine because the bulbs in these things are a nightmare. So we're going to do the same with that, get the dash out, do an LED conversion on that. We've got all sorts of gauges, but they're not mounted or wired up at all. So we've got some gauges. This one's got oil, boost and water. Actually some quite nice altimeter gauges. I do like them gauges. Then we've got another batch of gauges down here, another oil pressure gauge, a nitrous gauge and a fuel level gauge. Now it would be nice if I could get the fuel level gauge on the Digidash to work with the tank, but these are notoriously picky, these dashes. Let me stand up. They are notoriously picky. You would maybe have seen in a previous video where I got a fuel sender matcher thing to try and get it to work in the Fiesta. And it was just an absolute nightmare to try and get to work, so I gave up with it in the end. But we'll give it a go. If not, we'll just put it on that normal. We'll just put it on the. Let's get in the car. We'll just put it on the normal on the gauge down there if we have to. We've got a nitrous pressure gauge. Now we're not going to be. Wes is not going to be running nitrous. He has got a nitrous kit for it, funnily enough, but we're not going to run nitrous. So we're going to take one of these out and change that for an AFR gauge because we don't have AFR or lambda controller on the car. There's nothing going back to the ECU to tell you what the AFR or lambda is, which I guess is okay as long as you've got a safe map, but personally I like to have an AFR and a reference so you can set up your boost cuts and safeties and all that sort of stuff, and you can keep an eye on it whilst driving. Save you melted a piston. So we're going to put one of those in. Now we've got an oil gauge, boost gauge and water gauge there. Fuel level gauge, we will lose the nitrous one. I don't know what we'll do with the oil one because we don't need 2 oil gauges. We'll sort something out with that. But yeah, we've got this little dash pod thing, which I think the plan was to have that mounted up there. Nice flock dash, very, very nicely flock dash. Works really well. It's all on the original key, which is nice. But what we are going to do is fit a battery cut-off in here somewhere. Wasn't on the original list of things that needed to be done, but Wes asked us to put one in, so we're going to put one in, which, you know, if all goes wrong, it is good to have a cut-off. We've got some Sparco pedals under there, don't know how well you can see. What else have we got on the interior that needs doing? We need to sort out the gear linkage, because there is no gear linkage, and that's not connected up, so we need to sort that out. The handbrake is connected, but doesn't seem to actually do anything, so I think that needs adjusting. We've got some coolants going, we've got some brake fluid in there. We need, there is some welding to do actually. Ow. There is some welding that needs doing actually. There is some on the front, I'll show you that in a minute, but in here we need to weld in the B-pillars. You can see these sort of sit right up out of the way, so we need to try and get this moved down into a position where it's comfortable, and then weld in some pillars in here so that they can bolt through the floor. The front plates of steel are just sort of sitting in there. There's a lot of rust and moisture building up around there, so we'll get that all removed, get these cut out and a little bit smaller because I don't think they need to be quite that big. Get those welded in and all bolted back down and in. Probably make up some sort of nice fancy panel under here for the ECU to attach to, so it's not dangling in the footwell. We've got, I'm pretty sure, if I remember rightly, under here is where the fuse box is. How does this come out? I'm sure this is where the fuse box is. There we go. That's where the fuses and stuff used to be. They're not actually attached, but add that to the list then. That'll be something where we've got the fuses and the relay panel and everything under there to be sorted out. I don't know, does the heater work? No, heater doesn't work. So we'll try and sort that out. It's in the glove box. Anything nice? No dirty laundry. No, we've got some stickers, I think it looks like, and some other bits and pieces hiding in here. Rear boot light, that needs to go in. Got some other bits of line and bits and pieces in there, some other little clips and brackets. So we'll go through that and work out what's in there to go in. Ooh, I do love a Nova. We've already got a headliner in. We've also got the cage, a bolting cage. This is quite a nice cage. I do quite like this, although I'm not sure how heavy duty the cage is. It does look quite nice. Anyway, we've got that to go. We've obviously got some seats and rails to go in because there's no seats or rails or anything in here at the moment. That's the slam panel thing to go on the front of the car. That's been made to be removable, so that needs to go back on. Like I say, lots of little bits of carbon discs, things like, you know, the way these have been pushed through like drain bungs and bits and pieces. Quite like that. It's very neat, very tidy. That's a return line there, I think. So like I say, we'll look to move all of that over so it's out of the way of the exhaust and bits and pieces. I'm going to unlock that door whilst I'm in here so I can get that side open. Yeah, very nice. Obviously need some mirror glass on these ones. We've got headlights and things there. It does seem to look like that all works, which is nice because that's a bit of a pain in the arse if it didn't. Headlight adjusters, no headlights on it, but yeah, I think it's about 90% there, and it's just the finishing touches, which means most of the hard work should have been done. Right, let's go back around the front and I'll show you the bits. I'll tell you what, I'm going to stop waffling and get the car jacked up and we'll have a look underneath, shall we? Sounds like a plan to me. Right, it is jacked up. I've got 4 stands under there and I've left the jack under there for now. I do have a plan this weekend to actually make some timber stands up to sit this on. Can't claim that idea myself. Dean has just done it for his Escort and sent me a picture the other day. He was like, check these out, and I was like, I need them in my life. So this weekend I'm going to go down to B&Q or Wickes or wherever and get myself some 4x2 and make some stands to get this puppy right up in the air nice and safely. It's fairly solid on these jack stands, but don't want to take no chances. Anyway, I've put a chrome vanadium socket with a 1/2 to 3/4 inch adapter on my nut gun, and we're going to take these wheels off or snap the end of the socket off, either one, but we get a good look at the suspension and brakes behind these wheels. Pop you there so that you can see what's going on. In theory it should just be a simple case of they weren't even tight. Oh, surprised they didn't fall off whilst it was on the trailer. Right. Look at them. They are some big boys. That's my hand. They are some big boys, and they are thick too. Look at them. I mean, that's what, at least 25, not 30mm thick. They are some thick boys. 4-piston high specs. Don't know what pads are in it. I would assume some sort of fast road pad, but they are some big boys for a small car as well. This thing will stop on a dime. Bear in mind the Fiesta stops really quite well, and that's only on, what, 2 80mm discs, tiny little discs. Don't know what size they are, probably measure them in a minute. Got wheel spacer on there. Yeah, they are very nice. Oh, wheel's just fallen over and hit me on the leg. Very nice, I like them. Right, we have got suspension underneath here, coilovers. They are wound to the ground. Well, they could probably go a little bit further, but not a lot further, could they? And we have got adjustable dampening on the bottom here. Very nice. I don't know what make they are, to be honest. There is no branding on them. The rears are Gaz, I know that much, because they've got Gaz written all over them. I don't know what they are, no branding on them. Still, very nice. Braided brake lines. Another little job to sort out is the brake lines, because they are just dangling in the bay at the moment, so we need to clip them up out of the way nicely, give the brakes a check over. I don't know whether, I'll speak to Wes, don't know whether he wants to go with swap these out for wire locks. I would do if it was me, because the last thing you want is your brake rotor coming off, but I'll ask him, see what he wants. We've got to sort this out down here. You can see where this hole doesn't line up with the castle nut. That's because there's a big washer that needs to go behind there that's missing, so Wes has ordered those up, so just take those off. Put the spacer in there, drop a split pin through, get that sorted, give the brakes a once over, bleed the brakes. Once that's all done, that's kind of the front done. I might wind the coilovers up 10mm, simply because I couldn't get my jack underneath them. I had to roll the car up onto this. So I might roll them up just enough to get the jack under, because that just makes practical sense. Might Loctite these studs as well. That might not be a bad idea, because the last thing you want is a wheel stud coming out as well. So very nice. So far so good. Right, let's have a look under the car, shall we? I'm going to get dolly, I think, because I don't really want to crawl around on the floor when I can scoot. Oh, yeah, I've got, whilst I'm walking past, nice high torque starter motor to go on there, and this is the gear linkage connector thingy majiggy. These are notoriously pain in the arse on the F28 boxes. I think, if memory serves me right, you actually have to, I think you actually have to cut this and widen it by 10mm to make it work. But I will double check that, because it's been a very long time since I messed around with those. Obviously no stranger to it, having had Vauxhalls in the past, but it's been a long time since I've done anything like that. Get my, see, I tidied up in here, kind of, and now I can't get to everything. That's why I like organised mess. Right, let's have a little look underneath the car then. Here we go, get you guys the right way up. So, as you can see, there's the fuel filter that I was talking about. High pressure pump that I was talking about is back there behind the rear wheel tub. And you've obviously got the lines, it's full flexi lines on here. They go sort of up and over. That's the return line. And then come along, there's lots of these little brackets, but they're not fixed to anything. So what we'll do is, they've used the original lines, what we'll do is modify these so that they go all the way through and into a rib nut, into the body, and keep these nice and tight. See, the gear linkage is all there. Somehow it'll be interesting that I've got to get that 3-inch pipe past that gear linkage, which will be a challenge to say the least. Someone's been jacking up on the rails over a few years. That's a bit nasty. Might underseal that whilst we're here, maybe. And then the fuel lines, you can see they kind of twist over each other. As we get further down here, they kind of twist over and around and do all sorts of stuff there. So we'll look at moving that. But like I said, I think what I'm going to do is move all of the fuel lines from this side of the car to this side of the car. Oh, nut gun. Yeah, it's move all the fuel lines from that side of the car to this side of the car. Move the fuel pump, fuel filter and everything, and mount that all up in here together so that there's not a massive line between everything. Get it all mounted up in here nicely on this side, because like I said, the exhaust box, so it's similar to what we did in the Fiesta, the exhaust box is going to go up in there and then exit out the driver's side. So we don't want to be having the exhaust box and pipes next to the fuel line, so we'll move that around. Rear beam is very nicely painted, it's polybrushed all round. Gas suspension on the back, as I said, they got rid of the old spring and shock setup. Let me go around the back, sit down this thing because it'll be easier for me to show you guys. But there we go. Obviously got rid of the old spring and shock setup, which would have sat in here, and then just gone to straight gas gold coilovers. Have actually considered, to be honest, a set of these do fit, or fit with a little bit of modification, are meant to fit the Fiesta. So I have considered that in the for a future modification for the Fiesta, but we'll see. Obviously this is the fuel pump, but it's only got one bolt on it and it's not very well mounted, so we'll take that off. Like I say, we're going to probably move that over to the other side, sort all that out. Whilst I've got the welder out, I might weld a patch in here. I'll see what to do about that. See, there's a little hole there, I might just tack one in, make it nice and neat. Ow, 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 ow. Ugh. So that drum needs sorting out. Bearing's good, but the drum needs sorting out. What about this one? A little bit of play in that one, that probably needs, I'll have a look at it anyway. It's all new in there. I don't know what we're doing about this. Probably just a little carbon plate over there would look quite nice. And then the exhaust, I don't know what we're doing with the exhaust in terms of outlet. Now Wes did want a side exit. So we just need to work out where we're going to come through here. But with the Novas, unlike the Fiestas, with the Novas, where I've come through the side of my car, it's not structural. With these, you can see this is part of the structural frame rail here. I don't know how well you can see, actually, it's probably too dark. This is part of the structural frame rail, so the last thing I want to do is go and cut a hole through there. It We might be able to do something on the bottom of the seal maybe. I don't know, but I will work something out along those lines somewhere to be able to get a side exit out. Yeah, it's actually quite nice under here. It's looking quite clean, no real rust. Given the age of the car, it's pretty good. Apart from up there where someone's molested it with a jack, lifting it up and down over the years, but we can sort that. And then the biggest challenge is going to be getting, like I say, that big 3-inch pipe there has got to come. I mean, obviously it's got to be cut and modified because it doesn't point the right way whatsoever. But we've got to get that out of there whilst also avoiding this, which I'm not sure if, I know the Fiesta ones are plastic, I don't know if this is plastic or metal. I think it's plastic. Yeah, I think it's plastic. But we've got new boots and everything on there. It might just be a linkage thingamajig. Might just be a case of trying to, don't know. We will work it out. So that CV joint needs a bit of TLC. The boot has popped off of that. Let's have a look at the shafts. I don't know if these have got, I don't know if they're custom shafts or if they're just Calibra shafts, I'm not sure. Let's have a little look at the front, shall we? It does sit very low on the back, that fitment. These tyres would be nice and comfy as well, wouldn't they? Right, let's have a look under the front, see what we got under here. So, obviously I've shown you the engine from the top. From underneath, it has already leaked oil on my garage floor. Mint. Of course it is, it's an old car. What old car doesn't? So someone has had a whale of a time over the years, as you can see, with this front cross member. It's got a really sketchy plate in there. It's got a bit of a sketchy plate in there. This has all been cut out and has been left. It's rotten behind there. Well, it's been plated badly behind there, and then obviously this front cross member has all been cut, I presume, for the downpipe, which what we will do is we'll still have to notch a little bit, as you can see it's quite tight there, notch that and then replate all this in. I'd like to think I'll do a bit of a better job than has been done over here and over there, but we'll see. Obviously we'll look to try and do something with this boost pipe, try and clock the turbo around. The turbo drain comes very close to the exhaust but doesn't touch, so probably it'll be a case of heat wrapping that, and I'll probably just fettle this exhaust in a little bit to put a bit of clearance between the two bits there. This comes round, that's the original downpipe there with a bit welded on there, it comes round there. I will probably just cut that and put a couple of pie cuts or something on the end there and get it shooting straight up there. Turbo up there, I'm trying to see where the oil feed line goes. The oil feed line tucks in, oh it's water cooled as well. That's the drain, feed line's on top. We've got water cooled lines already attached to the turbo. And we've got a nice shiny sump. So, what do you think? I need to get up. Yeah, what do you think? Let us know in the comments below. Personally, I love it. It's a little bit of me, this is. I've said before previously, before my dad owned this, he actually had a black and red Vauxhall Nova, black Nova with red pinstripes down the side of it. I love that car, absolutely loved it. So yeah, special place in my heart for Vauxhalls. My first car was a Vauxhall, my second car was a Vauxhall. Always liked these. In fact, I very nearly bought one of these before I bought the Fiesta, and I would actually very much, now that I've got this one in here, I'd really like to buy another one before they get silly expensive. I mean, they are expensive anyway, but yeah, like, comment, subscribe, let us know what you think, and make sure you're watching out, because on the next couple of videos we are going to get dug in deep into this. The postman's going to have a very busy week, let's put it that way. There's a lot of bits coming in the post, and we are going to get stuck into Wes's Nova.